team that I love. You saw them up close last night. And I'm not talking about the Grizzlies. It is the Houston Rockets. Since they've lost to the Celtics, they've won 3 straight. Alpi Şengün. He's an all-star. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
He'll be an all-star. And he had 32 last night, 12 for 20. 26 against the Wizards. It's the Wizards, 12 for 23. He averages 20 and 10, shoots 50% from the floor, and he averages 5 assists. And you know, one thing I love about basketball are unnecessarily fancy passes, and Alperen Şengün will give you 1 a game. I love his game. One of the criticisms about the Rockets is they don't have that give this guy the ball, get out of the way, crunch time scorer. They don't. Jalen Green is supposed to be it. He's not. It's not Fred VanVleet. They've got a lot of great players, but no sort of singular give this man the ball and he'll get you a bucket star. And they don't truly have that, but Alpi is the closest thing they have. And he can score on bigs, he can score on smalls, he's crafty, he's got great footwork. I love this Rockets team. I love their defense in particular, but I'm on an Alpi kick, and he kicked your Grizzlies' ass last night. The Rockets are the team that I love this week.
I will say I'm not gonna try to throw any water on it, but I text you at the end of the third quarter, and I said this guy is murdering the Grizzlies. He's got 31 and 13.
He ended with like 32 and 13.
He ended with 32 and 14. So he had 1 and 1 in a fourth quarter where they scored 18 points. So save me the go-to score thing. You know who he reminded me of?
Wasn't that close.
You get a lot of the Jokic, ridiculous, like the baby Jokic stuff with him.
Yeah.
He reminds me, he reminded me much more of Sabonis last night. That's who he reminded me of.
Arvydas or DeMontis?
DeMontis.
Oh,
who is awesome and underrated as well.
Yeah, sure.
And is
I don't see that comparison.
He is a load to deal with. And
Domantas Sabonis is kind of like a boring, good basketball player, and Şengün is more of like an exciting, pretty good basketball player.
Stop.
But
that's ridiculous.
I will say this. Here's what I want to say about the Rockets as the team that I love this week, and I want to hear what you think about this. I do not want them to make a single significant move at the trade deadline. Just go into the playoffs with this team and lose in the first round. Good, that's fine.
No.
That is fine. Losing 6 in the first round, or get to the second round and losing 6. But like for them to bring on a Butler or like a Levine or some sort of like, we need a go-to scorer, playmaker guy to make a title run. This isn't the year for that. You're progressing great. You finished the season on a hot streak last year, didn't make the play-in, fine. Then you're going to be a playoff team or a play-in team this year, guaranteed. Just progress naturally with the team that you've drafted, aside from VanVleet, who you acquired. Just keep it moving in this direction.
The team I loathed was the Memphis Grizzlies.
What?
So since we're already talking about that. Oh, this was a pitiful week. They beat the hapless Dallas Mavs, who, by the way, responded by getting 2 good wins in a row.
Yeah, they did.
Without
they had
their
a good
guys.
win last night. They were
but
down bad.
The game on Monday night was the dregs. But Memphis has lost 3 out of 4 games. I know they have been without their guys.
Not last night.
They gave up 20-something three-pointers to the Golden State Warriors. They gave up 20-something three-pointers to the Sacramento Kings. Over the course of the past week, they have given up 45-plus in 2 different first quarters, including last night.
Wait. 45 points in 2 different fourth quarters?
First to the Kings, and then they did it again last night. The other thing is, and then they got their guys back last night with Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Santi Aldama. They all came back into the lineup. But and here's the thing: there's at some point, you got to stop talking about the type of basketball that is not best suited for them, and that is. And I've said this many times on this podcast, and we've talked about other teams that young teams. In many cases, struggle with this, that when you're playing a ton of dead ball basketball, right? And last night, I mean, look, if the Rockets could make free throws, they would have run the Grizzlies out, okay? but they couldn't make free throws last night. Okay. Şengün couldn't make, they just could not make their free throws or they would have run them out. So let me just say, I am not saying this game, if anything, this game, with the way it was officiated, if the Rockets would have made their free throws, they would have killed them, right? But there is no basketball game on earth, okay, that should have 71 free throws. Jacoby, I do the postgame show. We didn't go on the air until 9:45 last night.
Ew.
And so, look, whether it was the Dallas game, whether it was the Clippers game, whether it was this game, the answer is not these games should not all be this way. The answer is these games are, in many cases, this way, and Memphis can't win those. You have got to be able to win those. The ones that turn into slugs, the ones where you don't get to just run up and down the court and play consecutive possessions on a regular basis, right? Like those other games. And in many cases.
Remember we were talking about the Cavs Thunder game?
Correct.
That flowed. That win. That was the perfect basketball contest in the perfect spot from two great teams. It was the antithesis of what you are discussing now, but continue.
Correct. And so, look, in the end, Memphis has this fantastic record. Their depth has showed really well, but like the depth and the defense and that kind of stuff, that's a regular season deal. When you have watched them play against the best teams in the Western Conference, they're not good enough. And that's why you've seen their name come up so often, whether it has been going back with OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges or Dorian Finney-Smith or more recently Jimmy Butler. They've got to be additive because the depth, you don't need depth when it comes to the playoffs, right? And Memphis has got to keep their guys on the court, and they have got to show the ability that they can compete with the best teams. They obviously got a good win against Boston earlier this year. They've had some good wins throughout. But going into last night's game, they had Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr. on the court together all 199 minutes. I mean, that is the equivalent of 4 games, which they played 38
Grizzlies guy, let me
now.
ask you a real question.
Yeah.
So you've chosen your team as the team you loathe this week. The team
for this week.
You're not at every game. You're at every practice. You do a show from the facility every day.
I'm not at every practice.
My question for you is that you don't play in the practices, but you attend them. So my question for you is this. What trade do you actually want to see happen for your team that you love so much that you loathe this week? So you're admitting there are weaknesses. You're admitting there are areas of improvement. You're admitting that there are players out there in the world that have been rumored as potentially landing in Memphis. What deal do you want to see them make?
You've got to look, they have been searching for it even since when they had Dylan Brooks. You have to get a real 3-and-D guy.
Who's that?
End of story.
Who's that?
I mean, it was Dorian Finney-Smith. That one.
He sounds like a 3-and-D guy. Because Cam Johnson's not. He'll give you the threes from time to time.
Right.
He's not stopping anybody. Who's the best defensive player in the Grizzlies? They have a great defensive team. It's Jaren Jackson. Who's the best perimeter defensive player? Are you
serious? Jaren Jackson had 6 blocks last night.
I said Jaren Jackson. Who's it? Pippen?
Marcus Smart would be the best perimeter defender, but he's always hurt.
Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart is still guard.
He's coaching. He is coaching.
He can still guard.
He is coaching right now. He's a coach.
Marcus Smart is still guard.
Do you want them to give to Jimmy Butler?
That's not happening.
It's not.
No.
Happening. Yeah.
No.
I don't see it happening either. It doesn't feel. I don't know. Imagine if he picked up his player option, you had to pay him $52 million. Then imagine you have offered him extension for $150 for 3 years. No thanks.